Yeah, I won't practice today. It'll be Draymond, Kenny Young, Melvin, Bobby Massey, Kareem, and Caden Stearns. The other ones will be, and Stephen Weatherly's not practicing. He's sick, not COVID sick, just he's limited. And Stephen has got old school cold symptoms.
Melvin, Bobby, Kareem, I assume his shoulder.
Yeah.
Stearns, what's his injury?
Yeah, shoulder, neck.
And Melvin, is it the hip again? Or?
Yeah, and a thumb.
Okay, Massey ankle?
Yeah, Bobby's a little bit of hip, but really it's kind of a rest day.
What is the outlook on Draymond Jones with his foot short and long term?
If we had to list them today, I'd say it's questionable, and it's truly 50-50.
Vic, obviously they knocked way down the number of padded practices. I don't know if you already used all yours, but in general, in the thick of things with 4 games left, how hard do you go these Wednesdays and Thursdays the last month?
We'll be doing it just like we've done. We've adapted here the last few weeks. We haven't used the pads the last few weeks.
Vic, what stands out about Joe Burrow in his game, and then also Jamar Chase and what he's doing?
Yeah, he's a really good passer. He's accurate. He's got strong arm. He's got a good feel for their offense. He's got really good guys to throw it to. They have a balanced offense, which makes it tough. You know, you'd like to give all the attention to the passing game because of the quarterback and the weapons he has to throw to. But Mixon has got over 1,000 yards already, and he's a really good running back, and they're committed to having a balanced attack, and that's really what makes them go.
How impressive have you been by what Trey Hendrickson's done defensively?
Yeah, he's been a good addition to them. There's no mystery why they've really improved on defense. They went out and signed a bunch of guys, drafted some guys, and made a commitment to get better on defense, and they got rewarded for it.
A big follow-up on Mixon, second in league in carries. Do you see him just as strong in fourth quarters as he did in first quarter?
Yeah, I do. That's kind of the way he is. He's a good size for a back, good contact balance, got good cutting ability, runs hard. Yeah, I do.
Can splitting the carries between Javonte and Melvin pay dividends now even more as you reach this point of the season?
I think so. You know, obviously Javonte had a bunch of touches the week before. Melvin came back this week. Melvin was running good. So, we left him in there, and he got, more than Javonte did. So, which probably coming off of the previous game and now allows us to have good freedom going into this game.
You spoke a couple weeks ago about some of the one-on-one meetings you've had with Baron Browning, or kind of some of the text exchanges you've had with him, about different things he's seen on film. How have you seen him kind of use that to progress over the last few weeks?
Yeah, it's a slow process. Again, we're trying to make up for all the time he missed in the off season and in training camp. And a lot of the little things that you think are etched in stone right now aren't always etched in stone with a guy that's had this limited exposure. So we're trying to close those gaps as quick as we can. The extra meetings is part of it.
As a follow-up, his older brother, Barry, when he got drafted, said he was excited that Baron was getting to play for you like he did during his freshman year, I believe, at Stanford.
Yeah.
Do you remember Barry at all?
I do. Yeah, we had an injury at corner, and Barry had to play. And Barry did it the old Wally Pip. He pipped him. The guy got healthy. We kept Barry in there. Barry was a good player for us that year. He's not as big as Barron, but he was a good player for us, and he's a high school coach now.
Back to Burrow, does he look like a second-year guy who had his year cut short last year of injury, or is he looking more advanced than that?
No, he looks more advanced. And that injury had happened in December, so he got most of last year. And, he looks good.
Inside linebacker, Kenny Young can't go. Would it be Kaiser ready to go, or?
Could be Jonas Griffith.
Could be Jonas?
That's who we put in there last week.
status quo of the 3 COVID guys?
Yes, they're all doing fine, but they're not posting negative tests yet.
Were you relieved after seeing the news around the week that you didn't have any more? Or are you still
Yeah, I mean, you're relieved, but it's, you know, I'm ready for one of those guys to walk in my office with the bad news, you know. So, yeah, relieved, but nervous.
With Burrow, how do you prepare for his ability to extend plays?
Yeah, he's good at that. He's a good scrambler. His rushing yards don't indicate that, but he's had about 3 or 4 good scrambles where he ran for significant gains, get wiped out by penalties. He extends plays. He's courageous in the pocket. Been impressed with his overall game.
Rick, when you were talking about the run defense the other day, what can you do specifically at this point in the season to sort of get that squared away?
We'll just keep working at it. And again, a lot of it stems to the inside linebacker position. We've played 8 inside linebackers this year, and we're trying to get that honed up as best we can.
What has allowed the Bengals to be so good at stopping the run this year?
They're good up front. They really are. They base their defense out of a 3-4, and the 5 guys they have up front are really good. You know, set by their 2 outside backers, the edge players, and I think that's the biggest reason. It's just players.
Dave Bradley on Monday talked about everybody coming in early for the early volunteer for the early lift, for the enthusiasm, you know, it's kind of felt throughout the building. How nice is that not to emphasize the importance of this game or these games right now?
Well, it's always good to have a little help in the motivation area, and these guys know what's at stake, what possibilities we have in these last 4 games, and I think they're attacking it with a great enthusiasm.
Because of the Bengals' rush defense, Coach, does it demand more balance this week?
It probably does. You know, they're a good run defense, yes.
Last week, Melvin talked about wanting to stay in Denver and that maybe there's some fans up there that don't feel that same way. I know that you've talked a lot about how good he is. What would you maybe say to people that underappreciate Melvin's ability?
Yeah, I don't know how anybody could underappreciate his ability. I mean, he's run the ball very well for us for 2 years. And, you know, and we're splitting time with him and Javonte, who is a really good back, obviously. And that's not just to pacify Melvin or to balance it up. I mean, he's a damn good player. I mean, I don't know what people are looking at if they don't have an appreciation for how he runs the ball.
Do you think it's important to have a primary back, or are you fine in the future just with 2 guys split the load?
Yeah, if you have 2 guys like we have now, I'm fine with that.
8 inside line, that's 4th string.
Yeah, and some of them weren't in camp with us. That's when it becomes harder.
With the COVID uptick, do you think there's anything the league can do? I mean, there's rumors about they might do.
I don't know. You know, last year, I was at the center of all the COVID stuff here, you know, as far as I told George I don't want, so I'm out of it. Okay, so I'm like a player. When they tell me what we're doing, that's what we're doing. And I don't even think about it. And I'm not exaggerating. Whatever they say we got to do, we got to do.
You talked about the knock on the door regarding COVID. To what extent do you think it might affect? I mean, there's 5 teams at 7 and 6. Might affect the playoffs.
There's no doubt that it could, obviously. You know, if you know, the reason teams have their records and are in contention are because of their rosters. And if those rosters take a hit, especially with key players, it will have an effect. There's no doubt about it.
I think a few more.
Heading into week 15, not a single team has clinched a playoff berth. All 14 spots are wide open. Have you ever seen this much parity in the league? What do you think is kind of the reason for that?
Well, all the same reasons that it's been in the past. I think more teams this past year that were in the bottom third last year made strong efforts and pushes through free agency and really strengthened themselves on the side of the ball they were weak. And that's part of it. I think the free agency effect was a big part of it. But, you know, that's the way this league is set up. You know, it's a fine line between going 6-10 and 10-6, and I know I'm not saying 17 games, but there's just a fine line there, and it's a play here and there. I mean, you take our game against Detroit on Sunday. I mean, it's 14-10. We get a field goal at the half. They make a first down on us in the opening drive of the second half, but we knocked the ball out and got a fumble, short field. We score. They go for it on 4th and 2 from the +30 or whatever it was, don't get it. And now, a tight game, all of a sudden now is a 3-score game. It's a fine line.
Last one, Arnie. The last couple of games, it seems Noah Fant has been more of a two-dimensional tight end. What was the epiphany there? Was it just health or opportunity?
I do think he put more of an emphasis on himself, along with the coaches, to improve his blocking. And I think he's done that the last couple of weeks. I thought his catch that he had, the 32-yarder the other day, was a really good catch. Some are harder than others. Some take more talent than others, and that was one of those higher-end catches and plays. So that was really good to see, and that should be good for his confidence. But I agree with what you're saying, and I do think that has happened.
Thank you very much.
Okay.